In 1912, 63 years ago, Guy Wiedeck and the Big Four staged a rodeo, the first Calgary Stampede. In 1948, 27 years ago, the football fans of Calgary invaded the East and turned the national final into what it is today. The 1975 Grey Cup. The 1975 Grey Cup.
Brought to you by Canadian Pacific, working for Canadians in resource development, manufacturing, and transportation. Philips Electronics, makers of quality electrical and electronic products for home and industry. Texaco retailers who join in saying, "You're the star at Texaco." K-Tel International, specialists in personal care, household, and leisure time products. Labatt Breweries of Canada Limited, brewers of Labatt's 50 Ale and Labatt's Blue.
Live from the Stampede City of Calgary, it's the Eastern Champions, the Montreal Alouettes, and the Western Champions, the Edmonton Eskimos, in the 1975 Grey Cup. I'm Ernie Affiganis at McMahon Stadium, along with 33,000 excited, enthusiastic fans this afternoon. And you know, this is the largest crowd ever to watch a football game on the prairies. The city of Calgary is celebrating its 100th birthday and hosting its first Grey Cup. And over this past week, thousands of Calgarians and many thousands of visitors from across the country have joined together to prove what a real festival is. And the best is yet to come. In a half hour from now, these fans in the stadium and millions of viewers across the country will watch two fine football teams in action. And you know, our television team that'll commentate is also very, very impressive. For example, to do the play-by-play, we have Don Whitman and Pat Marsden. To provide the expertise, Frank Rigney and Mike Wadsworth. And from the sidelines, Don Chevrier to do the eastern bench, and Bill Stevenson on the western side. And of course, Bill Stevenson will also be my co-host working on the 1975 Grey Cup. And Bill, I told you that you wouldn't need that thermal underwear. Was I wrong or right?
Well, look at me. You're certainly not wrong. Is this not sunny southern Alberta?
Yes.
I've got to wear sunglasses. We can walk around in jackets. It's not quite Miami, but it is a beautiful day for football with a slight breeze. And I must admit one thing, Ernie. I'm standing right at the heaters here that are going to be blowing on the Edmonton Eskimo bench. But actually, conditions could not be much better. Just a great day for what's going to be a great game. And you know, we have upstairs a couple of fellows with sun lamps on them. They're basking in comfort, too. I'm speaking about Don Whitman and the fellow commentator who will be working with him up there, of course, the man who will be doing the play-by-play for the second half of the game.
Well, it's going to be, we hope, a tremendously exciting game, Pat, somewhat reminiscent of regular season play that we saw particularly in the West, where the Eskimos were involved in a half dozen games that were decided in the final couple of minutes. Perhaps the most exciting game of the entire season involved these two teams on the 23rd of September when Dave Cutler kicked a last-second field goal that gave the Eskimos a 31-29 win.
And maybe that's why so many people are suggesting, Whit, that the Eskimos are favored for this ball game. But, you know, when you talk about the Alouettes, they're so inconsistent, you never really can tell what kind of a contest they're going to be able to put forward. For instance, we started in July, our first game of the year. They went into Hamilton and won in Hamilton. They went back home the next week and lost to Saskatchewan. I would say this much. They're a very well-coached club. They really want to win this game. I think it's going to be a classic. And from your point of view, I think the Eskimos better be ready for the ball game of the year.
Well, Marv Levy was quoted as saying that defense wins championships. This would not seem to apply to the Eskimos. They beat Winnipeg, for example, 48-41. Right here at McMahon Stadium, they were down 29-2 at halftime and came back to win 36-35. So it could be an exciting game if both teams are able to get their offenses rolling the way they did on the 23rd of September in that 31-29 Edmonton victory over Montreal.
All right, Don and Pat, and you know, during every Grey Cup game, the Eastern and Western champions are represented by two fine bands from across the country. The Eastern team, the Montreal Alouettes, is represented by the Regina Lions Junior A Band, one of the best in the country today. bandmaster for the Lions Junior A Band from Regina is Mr. Robert Mossing, and he has a total of 125 musicians. It's a concert band. It was formed in 1946. The youngest is 12, the oldest 19. And this band had an overseas tour in 1974, won a gold and 3 silver medals at the World Music Festival in Holland, 2 silver and 2 bronze at the festival in England. And it was the official band of the Western Canada Games held in Regina this past summer. The 1975 Grey Cup from Calgary continues in just a moment.
My son and I do a lot of things together. I teach him the things that my father taught me when I was his age. It's all a part of growing up. And probably one of the most important things I learned was how to save money. You're never too young for that. I'd cash in pop bottles, do odd jobs, cut lawns. And then, together, my father and I would go to the credit union and put the money into my savings account. The interest is always good, and it gives you a real feeling of accomplishment to see your money grow, knowing it's being used to help your friends and neighbors get established. After a few years, I had enough to start my own business. The credit union helped me again with loans whenever I needed them.
That's what credit unions are all about. People helping each other. Ask someone who belongs.
During all football games, naturally, all eyes are on the playing field because that is where the action is. But there's also some hectic action of a different kind on the players' benches. And Don Chevrier will be at the Montreal bench, and he has his own personal camera.
How about that, Ernie? And this camera is going to follow all the reaction for you. Injuries that may occur this cold day here at McMahon Stadium. And I'll tell you, Bill Stevenson can keep his coat off all day. This one is staying on. The wind down here is swirling around. We're in the sunlight, but indeed, it's a cold November day in Calgary. The main thing is that field is dry and should be in excellent shape to give us a fine football game between the two. Well, the Alouettes won it last year, of course, in the rain in Vancouver by a score of 20-7 over the Edmonton Eskimos. And, of course, the man to talk to was the coach, Marv Levy of the Alouettes, about defending the Grey Cup championship he won in '74. I talked to Marv earlier today.
Coach, good morning.
Good morning, Don.
This is a day that coaches work all year for, and, you know, as I look back, you have won most of the big football games of the Alouettes that you had to win. So here you are again today in the same kind of situation.
Well, that's right. Each one is a different experience, however, Don, and it's a struggle, and you're assured of nothing. If we have done, just as you say, won the big ones, it's because of the type of man we have in our football team. I think we have a team with a lot of character. We're playing another fine team today, so let's find out what happens. I hope we can win another one of the big ones, as you say.
You said it before, the defense is going to win it for you. Do you still feel that way right now?
Well, I've always said I felt that defense wins championships, and it's going to take a tremendous performance from our defense in order to stop what I feel is the best offensive team in Canada without question.
And then execution.
Well, block and tackle, the same old things win games. It isn't strategy or tactics or tricks or men in motion. If you block and you tackle, you're going to win.
Coach, good luck this afternoon in defense of that Grey Cup championship.
Thank you, Don.
Montreal coach Marv Levy. And you know, Football is a very complicated game that moves quickly, and it takes real knowledge to point out those intricate parts of the game. Well, our expertise today is provided by two former great CFL stars, and they know how to tell you all about that very important information. Frank Rigney and Mike Wadsworth.
Well, Mike, you know, all the conversation this week is centered around Larry Highball and Johnny Rogers, but I think you picked out a fella on that defensive unit from Montreal that should be important this afternoon.
Well, Frank, you've heard Coach Barbleve say it many times that he believes defense wins championships. One of the most important figures in that defense will be number 72, Carl Cornell, the middle linebacker. Edmonton, of course, has a strong inside running game and also likes to throw that short curl in and hook pattern, so that Carl Cornell from his middle linebacking position will be a central figure defensively.
Don, I think the middle linebacker of the Eskimos is also going to be very important. Dan Kepley, number 42. He has excellent range getting around that football field, but he's just not that big. He's only about 210 pounds, and he could have some problems tackling Steve Faragelli.
Frank, when you come right down to it, you still have to put points on the board. One fella for the Montreal Alouettes who might not be talked about as much as Johnny Rogers or Peter Delariva is number 36, Larry Smith. A fine running back who does an excellent job as a lead blocker for Faragelli, is capable of running the ball himself, but hasn't done so a great deal. However, in the passing department, he's picked up 52 catches during the regular season, just behind team leader Peter Delariva. I think this man could be a big factor in today's game.
Well, switching over to the Eskimos offensively, I don't think there's any question you have to talk about George McGowan. George, of course, set the record for the most pass receptions in the history of the CFL in 1975. He's, of course, number 76, and the cornerbacks and the rest of the deep backs of the Montreal Alouettes are certainly going to have to watch for George McGowan. He was the outstanding player in Canada 2 years ago, and he's really the key to the Edmonton Eskimo offense, in my opinion.
Think there's any chance they can cover him just one-on-one?
Not really.
We'll have to see, Frank.
Earlier, you saw the Regina Junior A band representing the Montreal Alouettes from the east. Now we're going to see the band representing the Edmonton Eskimos, the Western champions. It's the Edmonton all-girls marching band called the Ambassadors. Bandmaster of the all-girl marching ambassadors is Mr. Bill Simon. A total of 105 members. It was formed in 1966 by parents who still support the group. The youngest 11, the oldest 18. They toured Holland in 1974 along with Germany and Belgium, and in 74 won the gold at the World Music Festival in Holland. Then they toured the United States and won the overall award at the California Festival. And in Kelowna, they won the overall championship in 71, 72, 73, and 75. The Edmonton all-girl marching ambassadors. The 1975 Grey Cup from Calgary continues in just a moment.
Hello, everybody. I'm Marty Robbins. This is a great new album from K-Tel.
Marty Robbins Gold. 20 of his greatest hits like...
Well, I never felt more like singing a blues.
Remember this?
Just married this morning.
Everyone's favorite.
White sport coat.
Gunfighter Ballad.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
His big hit.
So the story of my life.
Hanging Tree. Devil Woman. Ribbon of Darkness. Don't Worry. These and many more made Marty Robbins a superstar in the world of music.
Big iron
his country classic. Get Marty Robbins Gold, 20 of his greatest hits, $5.99. Tape or cassette, $6.99.
Be sure and get my new album from Kate Hill. I know you'll enjoy it. It's one of my favorites.
Available at the Bay and Woodwards and at Wilco Woolworths, Zellers, Met, Link Hardware, Sam the Record Man, Tower Stores, and Stedman's.
A great coach, Bud Grant, once said, unless your team made the Grey Cup, the season was not a success. Coach Ray Yock of the Eskimos, who once played for Bud, feels much the same way. This is his third consecutive Grey Cup final. And earlier, Bill Stevenson had a chance to talk to him. Bill?
Coach Yock, you said that your club is stronger than it was last year going into the Grey Cup. Could you tell us why?
Well, we felt like we had an improved football team over last year, basically because of our personnel changes that we've made. Addition of Mike Fink late in the year stabilized one of our corner positions. Wayne Mathern getting back in the lineup. Dan Kempley, Tom Laputka, those type of people on defense. Offensively, of course, getting George McGowan back for the whole year definitely has helped us, and we've got more maturity. We've got another year of experience offensively. Our kicking game with Cutler has always been good. Probably the one area where we're hurting a little bit right now and throughout the season has been when Gary Lefebvre got injured, not only his receiving ability, but his punting ability, and that's something we're a little uncertain of right now.
Well, Coach, you're going into the big game in just a few moments from now. Can you tell us, is there added pressure for a Grey Cup game than, say, over an Eastern Final or any other major game such as this?
Oh, I would think that there's a little extra pressure, Bill, but if you've been here a few times, you get used to it, I guess. I don't know if the butterflies ever really get out of your stomach, but it's a great game, and it's going to be a good game, and may the best team win.
Good luck, Coach Yock.
Thank you.
The Eskimo coach, Ray Yock. Now, here are the officials for the 1975 Grey Cup game, as appointed by the commissioner of the CFL, Jake Gadar, and the director of the referees, Hap Scholdice. Now, the referee is Bill Fry, number 32. The line umpire, Harold Ferguson, number 22, from Edmonton. The back umpire, Lorne Woods, number 38, from Ottawa. The head linesman is Ross Perrier, wearing 16. He's from Toronto. And the field judge is Merv Pilling, number 42, from Calgary. While the standby official is Jim Lysak, number 27, from Regina. The officials for today's game. You know, during any football game, the isolation director is very, very important. He's the man who anticipates the play and tries to isolate the man who will be involved in that next play. Dr. Kenny Nielsen, a former great Bomber star, one of the fine receivers in football in his time, and also a Shenley Award winner, is our man in the truck. Let's see what his working area is like.
Many of the cameras out there today will be shooting the action live, but we have 4 cameras positioned in various spots on the field that will be concerned primarily with isolated replay. For example, this is George McGowan from the low-level end zone camera. And from the elevated end zone camera, have a look at Johnny Rogers. This is the press box ISO camera, John Konahosky. And from the low-level sideline camera, you can get right in on the action with Steve Faragelli scoring a touchdown. Besides those normal replays, sometimes we can pick up some interesting byplay that goes on down there. This is John Konahosky and Dushinsky.
Before we go down on the field to meet some of the dignitaries who are with us today, including the Prime Minister of Canada, quite a few things have happened over this past week. For example, Wendy Miles, Miss Calgary Stampeder, won the Miss Grey Cup Award. Then Willie Burden, who had such a tremendous season in Calgary with the Calgary Stampeders, getting close to 1,900 yards, also won the Shenley Award, the coveted award in football today. And he beat a very fine football player in Johnny Rogers from the Montreal Alouettes. Willie Burden, in really what you might consider his rookie year, although he did play a few games last season, came on this year to break Earl Lunsford's record, which held for more than a dozen years. And you know, Calgary just put on a tremendous show throughout the week. Last night, for example, the Grey Cup dinner was one of the most unusual Grey Cup dinners we have ever seen. After a multitude of speeches, the young Canadians, who you will see at halftime, put on a spectacular show and took a standing ovation from a sellout crowd at this $25 a plate dinner in the Four Seasons last night. And you know, we have the premier of our country here today, who is an avid sports fan. His son Justin is with him, and he is walking along with several dignitaries who will be watching the game from the stands this afternoon, including the premier of Alberta, Peter Lougheed, and several other outstanding dignitaries, Rod Sykes, the mayor of Calgary, Terry Kavanagh, the mayor of Edmonton, and several people representing the provinces across the country. You can see them filing through this tremendous crowd, which is gathered at, well, not on the field level itself, but just off the playing surface. And they're making their way to our commentator there, Winston McQuaid. The Prime Minister is all dressed and waiting, and here is Winston McQuaid.
Game. Est-ce que c'est la première fois que Justin assiste à un match de football?
N'est-ce pas, Justin? C'est la première fois.
C'est la première fois? Oui. Can I ask you, who do you think is going to take it?
Oh, naturally. Where do you think I'm from, eh? Elected in Montreal, born in Montreal, going to see a big Montreal game here today.
Alors évidemment, vos prédictions...
Je ne sais pas qui va gagner, non. Mais Montréal va jouer une très bonne partie, ça je vous garantis.
Alors je vous souhaite un bon match avec Justin.
Merci.
Of course, the dignitaries, as we said, and the Prime Minister of Canada. We pointed out earlier that Wendy Miles, Miss Grey Cup, who is also Miss Calgary Stampeder, will not be with us at this time. But I neglected to tell you one other great happening during this week in Calgary, which was sensational. Rick Folk from Saskatoon, a fine curler, defeated Bill Fry from Winnipeg to win that centennial Calgary curling spiel, which is actually called the Grey Cup spiel by most people. He won 11-5, so Rick took home $10,000 in what has been called the most spectacular, best curled bonspiel in the history of the game. So we continue on now, and we're in our preparations for the Grey Cup game itself. It won't be long before we're able to get down on the field and see the players play. There have been several problems with the teams with injuries, but we're going to see the starting lineups and see just who is in the game. So let's get down to Bill Stevenson with the player introductions.
And now, introducing the starting offensive lineup of the Eastern Conference champions, the Montreal Alouettes. At right tackle, number 55, Barry Randall. At right guard, number 61, Frank Pomerico. At center, number 44, Wayne Conrad. At left guard, number 52, Ray Watron. At left tackle, number 67, Dan Yoakum. Now, the receivers. At tight end, 74, Peter Dallariva. At flanker, number 31, Joe Petty. At split end, number 16, Skip Eamon. The running backs. At fullback, number 33, Steve Farragelli. At halfback, number 36, Larry Smith. At halfback, number 20, Johnny Rogers. At quarterback, number 8, Jimmy Jones. And now, the head coach, Marv Levy. And his coaching staff, Dan Sakanovich, Rod Rust, and Gene Gaines, wearing number 22. And now, the rest of the Montreal Alouettes. And now, let's meet the defensive team of the Western Conference champion Edmonton Eskimos. The defensive line. At right end, number 55, Ron Este. At right tackle, number 61, Tom Laputka. At left tackle, number 65, Dave Fennell. At left end, number 62, Bill Stevenson. The linebackers. At right linebacker, 44, Rob McLaren. At middle linebacker, 42, Dan Kepley. At left linebacker, 30, Dale Potter. The defensive halfbacks. At right cornerback, number 13, Larry Highbaugh. At left half, 17, Dick Dupuis. At safety, number 18, John Farlinger. At right half, number 8, Wayne Mathern. At left corner, number 22, Mike Fink. And now, the head coach, Ray Yawk. His coaching staff, Babe Cassia, Vic Rapp, and Leo McKillop have already gone upstairs to the spotting booth. And here are the rest of the Edmonton Eskimos. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coming to center field now are the team captains, Tom Wilkinson, Bob Howes, Ron Este, and Larry Highbaugh of the Edmonton Eskimos. And for the Montreal Alouettes, Barry Randall, Mike Widger, and Rudy Florio. The Edmonton Eskimos have won the coin toss.
We'll be back with the PPCLI Rapid Fire Salute and the National Anthem in just a moment.
We found a place we'd like to make our home. We're ready to go there. We're looking forward to the times we'll share. Coming home to your world. Coming home to your beer. Coming home to your world. Coming home to Finley. Coming home to your world. Coming home to your beer.
Christmas, a bright, sparkling time. A time of twinkling colors, glowing lights, and glittering tinsel. Big presents, little presents, special presents. Olympic coins, bright and shining in solid sterling silver. A special kind of gift. Rich in memories and likely to grow in value with time. Olympic coins, on sale at your bank now. 4-coin sets from $47.50. Single coins from $8.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we would ask you to stand now and join the young Canadians in the singing of our national anthem, O Canada.
In just a few moments, the 1975 Grey Cup game will be underway. Your commentators for the first half, Don Whitman and Frank Rigney.
Thank you, Ernie. Hi again, everybody. Frank, we're just moments away from the kickoff to this 1975 Grey Cup game. Last year in the rain at Empire Stadium, it was a 20-7 Montreal Alouette victory. We've talked about what might happen in the pregame show, but is there anything you think we should look for right off the top?
Well, I think the Edmonton Eskimos basically down are going to have to throw the football against this Alouette ball club. They have a big advantage, of course, this year as compared to last year because of the weather conditions. The weather is just absolutely excellent and should not limit them in any way offensively.
Frank, do you think that the Alouettes or the Eskimos will try for the bomb right off the top of the game?
I don't know if it would be right off the top of the game, Don, but very definitely the big play aspect of the Montreal Alouette Offensive Football Club is really the way they go into a ball game. They don't really, over the course of this season, march 60, 70, 80, 90 yards downfield against you, but they can break a ball game open from any point on the field because they've got the little man, JR.
Well, of course, the Edmonton Eskimos have their little man, Larry Highbaugh. So this afternoon, at any time, you could have a punt or a kickoff return the distance.
Yeah, I don't think we will actually see Larry Highbaugh in the football game that much offensively unless they get behind and really have to go for the big play offense themselves.
Ray Yark looking on at Larry Highbaugh, waiting for the opening kickoff as the Montreal Alouettes will kick to the Edmonton Eskimos. Larry Highbaugh in kickoff returns this year, averaged 16.5 yards per carry, tops in the country. And Larry Highbaugh, standing back there, has as his partner on the kickoff return unit, Mike Fink. And the addition of Fink to that Edmonton lineup has certainly taken pressure off Highbaugh on both punt and kickoff returns. Fink has been dangerous. He has returned 2 punts for touchdowns, and his presence certainly helps Larry Highbaugh because the kicking team can no longer concentrate on keeping the ball away from Larry Highbaugh. A capacity crowd of 33,000 at McMahon Stadium. Don Sweet preparing to kick off for the Montreal Alouettes. Sweet last year in the Grey Cup game had the record-shattering performance of 4 field goals. The officials again, Bill Fry, Harold Ferguson, Lorne Woods, Ross Perrier, and Merv Pilling. Bill Fry waiting for instructions from the timekeeper. The final group has left the field. Don Sweet moves up in preparation for this opening kickoff once again. on the artificial turf here at McMahon Stadium that was covered with snow yesterday. But an excellent job by groundskeeper Marv Lay and his crew has cleared it of snow, and the playing field is in excellent condition. There's the whistle, there's the signal from Bill Fry, and this 1975 Grey Cup game is underway. The opening kickoff is taken by Mike Fink on the sideline. And Fink is caught and brought down at the 15-yard line by Ian Mulford. He was the first man downfield. And the Edmonton Eskimos will start out. The ball is actually being positioned at the 14.
An excellent kick, Don. Fink almost stepped out of bounds on his own 5-yard line there. A 61-yard kick, only a 9-yard return by Mike Fink.
Tom Wilkinson is the starting quarterback.
Be interesting to see if they try to go after Junior IU right off the top, Don, because they think they have to beat him to win this football game.
George McGowan comes wide right. Stu Lang is split left. Roy Bell trying the middle of that line. He gets nowhere, and that was Junior Ayu who came in to pull the feet out from under Roy Bell. There was some doubt earlier in the week as to whether Junior Ayu would start. Roy Bell on the season, the third leading rusher in the West with 1,006 yards, and he was the top ground gainer, obviously, for the Edmonton Eskimos. He got back to the line of scrimmage and no further. It will be 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos. They're at their own 14. We're just underway in this 75 Grey Cup Classic. Wilkinson throwing to his tight end, Tyrone Walls, and Walls has the first down as he drives it up to the 27. Tackled there by the corner linebacker, Wally Buono.
Just a quick out pattern by the big tight end, Tyrone Walls, 75. McGowan was on his side, so there was a wide open spot in that flat area. Good catch by Walls. First down of this football game.
Tyrone Walls, who missed a few games in the last part of the season, and the Eskimos certainly missed his very strong blocking from the tight end position during that time.
You have to throw off this formation, Don.
John Konahowski, the receiver, he tried to stay in bounds, but he was forced out at the 34, pardon me, by Wally Buono.
Just a quick out by John Konahowski in the same area that Tyrone Walls got the first completion of this football game. When you see those backs split like that, Calvin Harrell and Roy Bell, Edmonton really likes to throw the football. Their tendency would be 80 or 90% to put it in the air off that formation.
It's 2nd and 3 for the Eskimos. The ball between the 34 and the 35. They started this drive from their own 14. Action at the line of scrimmage. Calvin Harrell goes straight ahead. Penalty flags are down. Tony Proudfoot made the tackle.
It appeared that the Alouettes jumped offside. Something I'm sure that the coaching staff of the Alouettes have been working on all week long. Take a look at it. You can see 2 or 3 people, the Alouettes, jumping outside. IU was one of them.
Number 34, Mike Widger, was the man who encroached upon that 1 yard at the line of scrimmage, and it is a first down for the Edmonton Eskimos. Tom Wilkinson, having moved the club from the 14 to the 40, 12 minutes and 47 seconds still remain in this first quarter. Wherever you're looking in this afternoon, we hope you're enjoying this 75 Grey Cup Classic from McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Roy Bell trying to work his way through that line, and he is brought down right at the 40.
Well, this is the kind of blocking pattern that the Edmonton Eskimos are going to try to work on. Middle linebacker Carl Purnell. Watch Willie Martin, number 50, go up behind Bob Howes, the offensive center, number 53. If the good penetration by Judges stops the play and limits it to a very short gain.
An advance of 1, it's 2nd and 9. It would appear to be an obvious passing situation for the Eskimos. McGowan and Konahowski come wide right. Lang goes left. Wilkinson looking to put it in the air. Going to George Konahowski, and he steps out of bounds. However, he is short of the first down at the 47.
Good pressure from Weir there, and I think that's where the pressure should come from in the Alouette defense. Take a look at it once again. The 3 times the Eskimos have thrown successfully, it's been in this area each time. They will, however, be short of a first down, so with 11:38 remaining in the first quarter, we should have our first punt of the football game.
Johnny Rogers and Dickie Harris, 20 and 18 respectively, are back to receive the kick from Gary Lefebvre. He broke an ankle in the very first game of the season and did not return until last Sunday in the playoff victory of the Eskimos over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He does not get away a good kick. As a matter of fact, it hangs up there. It could bounce. No, it's taken by Dick Harris. A very alert play, and penalty flags also go down. And almost certainly no yards will be charged against the Edmonton Eskimos. Frank, for a moment it appeared it was going to be a play somewhat reminiscent of last Sunday when Lefebvre, on his very first punt, kicked short and it bounced back. He recovered and the Eskimos maintained possession and went in for a touchdown. But this time, a very alert move by Dickie Harris gives Montreal excellent field position.
Well, you heard Coach Ray Yock say that punting will be a problem for him this afternoon. It's pretty obvious. That one only went 12 yards.
With Jimmy Jones at quarterback, the Owls are at the 49 of the Eskimos. The pitch to Johnny Rogers. Rogers tried to get outside. The first to make contact with him was Bill Stevenson, and then Dan Kepley finished the job.
Don, they're bringing everybody they can. Watch Steve Farragelli leading the play here for Johnny Rogers. He picks up Wayne Mathern, number 8, the defensive back for the Eskimos.
Second down at 7.
Leading both Smith and Farragelli, trying to get as many people out in front of Rogers as possible.
Don, that's a pretty loose Alouette offense going in there. They were pretty relaxed, smiling and laughing at the bench, and they're ready.
They appeared to be ready, Don, in practice sessions throughout the week. It is 2nd and 7. Jimmy Jones dropping back. Throwing complete to Petty. And that is a first down for the Alouettes at the 31 of the Eskimos. And Petty has been utilized more as a receiver in the double coverage that has been applied to Johnny Rogers.
Well, this time he's working on Mike Fink, the cornerback, on the left side for the Eskimos. And if Jimmy Jones gets that much time, these Alouettes are going to move the football in the air.
Jimmy Jones, for fans who may not be too familiar with the Alouette quarterback, is staying in the pocket much more in recent games than he did at the start of the season, where he had a tendency to roll out of there. 1st and 10 from the 31. The draw play with Johnny Rogers, and Rogers is brought down right at the line of scrimmage by middle linebacker Dan Kepley. The score is Montreal 0 and Edmonton 0. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment.
You're the star, yes you are. You're the star at Texaco. Woo!
It's a good time when you're happy. It's a good time for a blue. It's a good time when you're happy. It's a good time for a blue. Time for smiling. Say that that's blue. Along with you.
It's 2nd and 10 for the Alouettes. The ball is at the 31 as we get a beautiful overhead view of McMahon Stadium from our crane cameraman, Tom Fisk of CBXT Edmonton. He's 300 feet above McMahon Stadium. 39 is the time left to play in this first quarter. Action at the line of scrimmage. Penalty flags are down. That little swing pass to Larry Smith, and he's forced out of bounds by Wayne Mathern.
Don, it appeared to me that right tackle Barry Randall and Peter Della Riva were in motion prior to that ball being snapped. You can see them at the top of your screen. Della Riva, of course, is number 74, and Randall's 55.
Frank and Don Smith a little shaken up on that play, but he's staying in there.
The illegal procedure fraction was against Peter Della Riva. The Eskimos decline the penalty, as the gain by Larry Smith was only about 3 yards. Don Sweet, who was the hero for the Alouettes in '74 at Empire Stadium in Vancouver, moves in. He kicked 4 of them, you'll remember, last year. Jimmy Jones will hold on the first field goal attempt in '75 from the 35. He has the advantage of a favoring wind. The kick is up. It is good. And the Montreal Alouettes move in front of the Edmonton Eskimos by a score of 3-0. The Alouettes, second-place finishers in the Eastern Conference with a record of 9-7, defeating Hamilton in the semifinal, and then Marv Levy took his Alouettes to victory 20-10 over the Ottawa Roughriders last Saturday. The Eskimos finished first in the West. We alluded earlier to our crane camera. There it is. That's the view that Tom Fisk has from 300 feet above McMahon Stadium. Frank, I wouldn't want to be up there.
No, sir. This is high enough for me right here.
The Eskimos have elected to scrimmage from the 35 rather than have Montreal kick off. That, of course, is one of the options. I believe that was intended for either Roy Bell or Calvin Harrell, but Junior Ayu may have fouled things up, Frank.
Take a look at him. He's number 77, and he was the fellow they were most concerned defensively. He's playing that right defensive end spot, and he sees Bell coming out here on this attempted screen. You'll see him pick him up right here.
Ayu was voted Defensive Player of the Year in the '74 Grey Cup game, and he is off to an impressive start here in '75. It's 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos from the 35. Wilkinson with that roll action to the right, down the sidelines, and it is complete to George McGowan for a first down. They'll position the ball at the 48, a gain of 13.
Don, I don't think you're going to see that very often. They had Gene Gaines man-to-man on George McGowan there, and I don't really think Gaines is going to be able to cover him. They're going to change their defenses up, obviously, throughout the afternoon, but that was man coverage. You see McGowan working against Gaines right here. Well, we never did see Gaines, but I saw Gaines cover him from about 3 or 4 yards away.
From the 48, it's a first down for the Eskimos with 8:05 remaining in this first quarter, and Montreal leading 3-0. Calvin Harrell gets the call, and he fights his way to midfield. Wally Buono made the tackle. And among the spectators, Ralph Sazio, the president of CFL, Commissioner Jake Godard, you see the Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau, and his 5-year-old son, Justin, looking on. Prime Minister, in the pregame interview with Winston McQuaid, indicated which side he was pulling for, the Montreal Alouettes. The pass to George McGowan is going to be just a little short, I would think, of that forward marker. He was forced out by Dickie Harris, and Tom Wilkinson obviously felt that his progress had carried a little further.
George was a little upset where they spotted that football as well. They needed to get to the 51-yard line of the Alouettes for a first down, but they're obviously going to be short by about a yard.
Bill Fry now conferring with Tom Wilkinson.
Creates the first major coaching decision, whether the Eskimos will gamble on third down here with 7:28 remaining in the first quarter.
Tom Wilkinson indicating to Coach Ray Yark at the bench just how far the Eskimos have to move that football. And Ray Yark is taking no chances, which comes as something of a surprise to us and to, obviously, a good portion of the spectators. He has sent in the kicking unit. I thought that on third and less than a yard that he would go for it, and Tom Wilkinson had indicated to the bench that he felt they should try it.
Well, possibly he can remember the Eastern final where the Ottawa Roughriders couldn't put the ball in the end zone from the 1-yard line against these Alouettes.
Gary Lefebvre, who kicked for only 12 on his first attempt, stands at his own 44. A better kick this time. It's taken by Johnny Rogers. Good coverage by the Edmonton Eskimos. Tom Towns was downfield to make the tackle, and obviously they've been working on coverage. The score is Montreal 3 and Edmonton nothing. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment.
Labatt's 50. More people say it. More people enjoy it. It's Canada's most popular ale. Open a 50, and you've got a taste you can count on. It's that simple. You don't have to explain it. You just say it. 50. You can't say beer any better.
All you have to say is 50. You can't say beer any better.
Don Whitman along with Frank Rigney, Ernie Afghaniz, Don Chevrier, Bill Stevenson, Pat Marsden, and Mike Wadsworth at McMahon Stadium. This 75 Grey Cup Classic. And the Alouettes will scrimmage 1st and 10. The ball is at their own 23. Gelly going outside. He puts his head down and butts a couple of people across the 30.
Don, the Alouettes have really not been that successful a football club running to the outside, but watch Potter, number 30 here. He gets caught in the inside. That's Smith that's blocking on number 36, and Faragelli manages to get around to the outside and picks up an 8-yard gain for the Alouettes.
It's 2nd and 2 from the 31. Faragelli again, and he dives through for a 1st down as he strikes to the 36. Bill Stevenson made the tackle. Quite a variety of clothing being worn at McMahon Stadium as the spectators are protecting themselves against the elements. And the wind has certainly increased in velocity since the start of the game. It is blowing out of the south, I would say at 15 to 20 miles an hour now. Start of the game was only 5 miles per hour. On 1st down, Larry Smith going left for a gain of a couple.
Great fill by Ron Estee from the inside.
5 minutes and 26 seconds, the time left to play in quarter 1. 3-0. The Alouettes lead the Eskimos on the strength of a field goal by Don Sweet. Dick Dupuis, one of the veteran members of that defensive unit. Second and 8. Ball is at the 37. Jones throwing to Petty, wide open on the sidelines. Petty beats one man and then goes down at the 45. Mike Fink was the man over defending against Petty, but he was wide open to accept that pass from Jimmy Jones. And let's take another look at it.
Well, there had to be a mix-up in coverage here between Mathern and Fink because Petty is really wide open. A 28-yard gain for the Alouettes. See, Mike Fink, number 22, was playing deep. He threw between Fink and Mathern, who's number 8. A good shot of the isolated from the isolated camera, and you see both Fink and Mathern went to the inside, creating that big hole for Petty.
Back to live action. It's 1st down from the 45. Petty this time comes left. Jones throwing up the middle, incomplete. It was intended for Johnny Rogers, and quite a collision there involving Farlinger. Rogers, and it appeared to be Mike Fink.
He was really nailed by Farlinger, down number 18. Watch it right here. Farlinger was shaken up on the play, but he's not going out of the football game.
The Alouettes feel that if Johnny Rogers on kickoff returns, punt returns, pass receiving and running can contribute anywhere close to 200 yards, they should win most football games, so they're going to try and get the ball to him quite often. Jones has been good on 3 of 4 attempts so far. It's 2nd and 10 from the 45. The screen to the left side to Larry Smith. Laputka made an excellent move to break it up. Conrad was trying to block on him, but Laputka just got to the ball carrier to upset him at the 40.
Watch Tom Laputka on this play. He's number 61, of course, a former Ottawa Rough Rider, and he reads it extremely well. He was working against Watron, and he comes from behind Smith to limit the gain to 5 yards.
Three minutes and 32 seconds, the time left in this first quarter. It is 3rd and 5 for the Alouettes, and Don Swaite with his second field goal attempt. If this keeps up, he may well shatter his Grey Cup record of 4 set last year in Vancouver. This one from 47 yards out. It is good. And the Montreal Alouettes lead the Edmonton Eskimos 6-0 with 3 minutes and 11 seconds still to play in this first quarter. Right now, let's find out what's happening from Bill Stevenson.
Well, what's happening is that we have got the queen of the Grey Cup with us, Wendy Miles, Miss Stampeder, and Miss Grey Cup. Wendy, how have you been enjoying Grey Cup week?
Just super. This is my first Grey Cup game ever, and I'm just having a terrific time.
Well, I know that you're a Stampeder fan, but who are you cheering for in the Cup?
Edmonton.
Well, let's hope that your team comes out on top and you enjoy it. And by the way, is it cold up in the stands?
No, it's very warm. Very warm.
Well, we'll let you go back up in the stands. Congratulations, Wendy, and let's go back to the ball game.
Thank you very much.
Indeed, a very pretty young lady, Bill, Miss Grey Cup. Roy Bell, the ball carrier, picking up about 3 yards, tackled by Glenn Weir. With 2:49 remaining in the first quarter, the score is Montreal 6 and Edmonton nothing, and the 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment.
You're the star at Texaco. You'll go far in your car, you're the star of the show.
The excitement at Ernie's Texaco is fantastic. All the stars are here. Brian Ross from Hamilton got his tank filled, his oil checked, and his Starburst bonus.
You're the star at Texaco.
The Roy Hunter family from Vancouver. While on holiday, they stopped at Texaco stations all across Canada. They used their Texaco travel card, got friendly, courteous service, and clean restrooms. And Rose Wilforth from Regina. She's been driving the same car for 9 years. Her Texaco retailer took care of regular oil changes, lubrication, tune-ups, the works. Always using Texaco's top quality products.
You're the star at Texaco.
Over 4,500 Texaco retailers across Canada have their own special way of saying,
You're the star at Texaco.
Roy Bell only picked up 2 yards on this play, but it wasn't because of the effort by Watkins or Wall, because they did a great job against Junior IU right there. He's, of course, number 77.
It's 2nd and 7 for the Eskimos. Wilkinson with that roll action right again, throwing complete, this time to Lang on a crossing pattern, and that's the first down for the Eskimos at the 50. First and 10 for Edmonton. The ball is at their own 50. Marv Levy discussing with the men upstairs what may have happened to cause a defensive breakdown on that play. Roy Bell puts his head down and gets about 4 with Junior IU in on the tackle for the Alouettes.
Take a look at the job that Carl Cannell does right here. He's a middle linebacker, of course, for Montreal. He's working against Bob Howes, number 53, the Edmonton center. Cannell's quite a bit bigger than his counterpart for the Eskimos, Dan Kepley, and he uses his size to good advantage there.
The Eskimos moving out on a 2nd and 6 situation. The ball just shy of the midfield stripe. Movement at the line of scrimmage, but no flags go down. However, Wilkinson does. He is dropped back at the 40. A big loss, and the fans, as you can tell by their reaction, thought that there should have been an infraction. There appeared to be motion at the line of scrimmage, but obviously not.
Don, I think that's unbelievable. I thought Widger and Cornell were both offside. It's the first time we've seen a blitz by this Ottawa defense. You can see movement long before that ball is snapped. You see Winter coming in to make the stop on Wilkinson, and Edmonton are just a little upset about that call.
You should see how upset the coach of the Edmonton Eskimos is. Ray Yock is just storming up and down the sidelines, and fortunately, we can't read lips.
Well, you saw it from that stop action right there. There were 3 or 4 Alouettes encroaching on that 1-yard zone.
From the way Tom Wilkinson dropped back at the 40-yard line, he obviously thought that there should have been a penalty flag as well. Gary Lefebvre now kicking from his own 25 into that 13-mile-an-hour wind, and he gets away an excellent kick. Dickie Harris retreats to his own 20. Looking for some help from Johnny Rogers on a block. He gets one, and then is brought down at the 32. Tyrone Walls was downfield to make the tackle. Well, as we mentioned earlier, wherever you're looking in, we hope you're enjoying this telecast, and we'd like to especially acknowledge one viewer in hospital. The 82-year-old Monsignor missing his first Grey Cup game in some 15 years. Father Murray, we hope you're up and around real soon. From the 32, it's 1st and 10. Johnny Rogers going nowhere in the middle in the grasp of Tom Laputka. 27 seconds left in this first quarter. It's 6-0, the Alouettes over Edmonton. At the Edmonton bench and also over at the Alouette bench, the players are able to keep their hands warm and their feet warm as the result of special propane heaters that have been installed. This could very well be the final play of the first quarter. Rogers was able to pick up 1 yard. Jones, that swing pass to Larry Smith, and Smith dives forward. He was looking at that far marker, and it appears he made it.
They're doing a big job of getting those linebackers, the Edmonton Eskimos, back out of there. You see Della Riva go in motion there, and Smith just circles out of that backfield, and he's wide open. McLaren and Potter have to make a decision whether to come up on those backs coming out of that backfield or get back and provide additional coverage with the defensive backs. The score is a Montreal Alouettes 6, the Edmonton Eskimos 0. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in just a moment.
In terms of possession, Edmonton had the football about 2 minutes longer than the Alouettes in that first quarter, but the Alouettes got the points. We have fans from all parts of Canada here at McMahon Stadium. The banners indicating what part of the country they are from. As they change ends, the first play of the second quarter, Faragelli straight ahead. A penalty flag goes down. Faragelli dives through to the 48, tackled there by Tom Leputka.
The official appeared to be pointing at Conrad, the offensive center. Let's take a look and see what he did on the play. I didn't pick it up. Well, I don't know if that was a holding call, Don. It certainly didn't appear to be against Conrad. I didn't see him holding anybody.
Well, one of the officials saw somebody holding Frank. This, by the way, is also Calgary's centennial. It's one of the reasons the Grey Cup game was awarded to this southern Alberta city. Besides that, they've just done a tremendous job of hosting the affair with all the activities of Grey Cup week. It's a repeat of the first down from the 34. Jones on that roll action left, looking for a block. He gets it from Larry Smith and then runs out of room as he's forced out by Dick Dupuis. It's a gain, however, of about 12 yards.
Well, this is the best hit I've seen so far in this football game. Watch Dan Yoakum as he works on Dave Fennell, number 65. He absolutely destroys him. He comes back on that counter action as Jimmy Jones rolls out to his left.
It will be 2nd and 8. That's the first time we've seen Jones roll out this afternoon. Let's see how successful the Alouettes are now in operating against that 13-mile-an-hour south wind.
Before the safety blitz, Don Farlinger, number 18, is coming up there.
Here he goes. And the penalty flag goes down. The safety blitz was in effect, as you called it, Frank.
While we discuss the penalty down or find out what it was all about, we'll take a look at Farlinger, but Faragelli does an excellent job of picking up the Edmonton safety. It's a move that they don't use all that often, and when they do, usually is when Labarato, number 7, is in the football game as a defensive back.
The Alouettes took just a little too long in putting that ball in play. Frank, do you think it had anything to do with the fact that Farlinger was moving up there and Jones may have been trying to audible off it?
It might well have, because he faked that blitz action right before the play started.
It's a repeat of the second down. They have 13 yards to go. Jones in trouble, rolling out of there. He is going to be forced out by Dale Potter, back at the 35. That's a further loss of 5 yards. Bill Stevenson and Dave Fennell were both through to apply pressure.
Well, Stevenson does get caught inside briefly. You see him circled right there. Smith is putting the block on him. And this is something they don't want to happen. They don't want Jimmy Jones to be able to get to the outside. You see Smith pinning him into the inside right now. Good job by the Edmonton Eskimo defensive backs, covering those receivers, and forces Jones to run with the football and out of bounds.
And this is the first time that Sonny Wade has kicked the football this afternoon. He has Mike Fink and Larry Highbaugh back. He's kicking into that wind, and that ball hangs up there. It bounces to Fink at the 45. A penalty flag goes down, and I think the Alouettes will be charged with no yards.
Appeared to me to be Tony Proudfoot, Don, number 68. Or I believe he's just a little upset about it. Only a 30-yard kick by Wade.
This is something that both coaches were concerned about in preparing for the game this week as to what the wind conditions would be on Grey Cup Day. They were hoping that they would be low. However, with a breeze blowing out of the south at least 13 miles per hour, it has affected the kicking game.
By far the best field position the Eskimos have enjoyed so far today.
Tom Wilkinson still at the controls of the Eskimos. Going to Konahowski on the sidelines. He has a first down. He loses the football, but it's knocked out of bounds. Wally Buono and Dickie Harris were the men who made contact with the Edmonton receiver.
This is about the 4th time they've thrown the football in the same way in the same area. You see Konahowski right here, number 72, just a quick breakout pattern. Bootleg action by Tom Wilkinson with Joe Warbeck, number 54, the offensive guard, out in front leading him.
12:09 is the time left in this second quarter. It's a first down for the Eskimos as well as at the 40 of the Alouettes. Roy Bell hit initially by Finucci. He spun away, but Finucci got help from a number of other people.
Don, this is something you won't see very often. Calvin Harrell missing a block. He's number 19. He tried to block Finucci at the line of scrimmage. Finucci beats him to the outside.
That's Mike Fink at the Edmonton bench. We now look at this 2nd and 9 play. Movement at the line of scrimmage again. This time the penalty flag goes down. The deep throw for Konahowski. Can't hang on. He was in behind Tony Proudfoot, but he couldn't hang on.
See the offside. Judges number 75 clearly encroaching in front of that line of scrimmage. Konahowski should have had this football.
That Alouette defensive unit, as Finucci, Judges, Weir, and Ayu up front, Buono, Cronell, and Widger are the linebackers. Harris, Proudfoot, Gaines, Rhino, and Price are the defensive backs. Knocked down by Dickie Harris, intended for John Konahowski once again.
Did a good job on the play, Don, because he was actually covering George McGowan. He just came back to help out.
It is now 3rd and 4 for the Eskimos, and into the game comes placement kicker Dave Cutler. Rather interesting to watch Cutler come onto the field of play. He always leaves the bench and runs onto the field at the 35-yard line. I asked him once if he was superstitious. He said, no, not at all, but I'm not taking any chances.
How do you believe that? A guy runs onto the 35 every time and he's not superstitious?
He's kicking this one from the 40. And that number represents the number of field goals he kicked this year in regular season play, and that one is good. For fans who may not be too familiar with our Grey Cup venue, McMahon Stadium is located on the western outskirts of Calgary. It's a facility owned by the University of Calgary on land leased from the city of Calgary for 99 years. When that lease expires, I don't think too many of us will have to worry about it. A first down from the 35. Jones dropping straight back. Trying to screen to Johnny Rogers. It's incomplete. Frank, you know, it's interesting. One of the rule changes this year is that the team scored against in a field goal is the option of having the other team kick off for scrimmaging from the 35. With that strong wind, nobody wants the ball kicked off.
Well, the only kickoff we had, of course, was the opening kickoff of the football game, and we saw Mike Fink almost stepped out of bounds in his own 5-yard line. An excellent kick and good coverage by the Alouettes.
Both teams, Edmonton with Dave Cutler and the Alouettes with Don Fleet, have kickers capable of putting that ball into the end zone, even without the strong wind that is blowing. 2nd and 10 from the 35. Jones to Peter Dallariva. The big tight end has a first down and then some out to the 49 with Dan Kepley coming over to make the tackle. Many people consider Dallariva the best tight end in the CFL. Jones has not used him too much, but it was effective there.
I think Dan Kepley was a little upset with himself, number 42, the middle linebacker of the Eskimos, because he's the fellow responsible for the big tight end on those short checkoff patterns. See Kepley dropping back to provide coverage and just ignores Dallariva completely, coming back against the flow. Good catch by Peters.
From the 49, it's a first down for the Alouettes as we swing back to live action. The draw play with Larry Smith. Good hole in the fine Canadian running back has a gain of 15. Wayne Mathern stopped his progress at the 45.
Well, the fellow that should have made the stop was Dave Fennell, number 65, but he just takes too wide a charge on the play. Conrad, the offensive center, got a piece of Fennell.
9:05 is the time left in the half. Pitch to Johnny Rogers. He fumbles the football, but I think the whistle had gone. It's recovered by Tom Laputka, but I believe the whistle had sounded before the ball skipped away from Rogers.
Don, you know, before the football game, we talked about Kepley and his ability to get out to the outside, the range that he has. And watch him here. He's number 42, and he makes the initial stop on Johnny Rogers. Good block by Smith on Dupuis right in front of the ball carrier Rogers. And that was a close call.
Junior Ayu, the defensive star of 74. Caragelli dives straight ahead, but that's a first down as he's to the 33. Again, Wayne Mathern came over to make the tackle.
You see the double team on Bill Stevenson there. That's Randall and Delariva. They do a great job against the big rookie for the Eskimos.
8:11 is the time left in this first half. The most interesting halftime show. We're going to have a miniature stampede of all things. A swing pass to Larry Smith on the sidelines. He is forced out of bounds at the 27 by Mike Fink.
Good example again, Don, of the pressure that this Alouette offensive ball club is putting on those linebackers, swinging those backs out of that backfield, and Potter was about 20 yards deep, so Smith has picked up a 7-yard gain.
Smith has been one of the prime pass receivers for the Alouettes all season, catching 52 of them during regular season action and scoring 5 touchdowns. Pete Lavorato goes into the game. Dick Dupuis comes out for Edmonton. 2nd and 4. The big fullback, Caragelli, has a first down to the 21, tackled by Bill Stevenson. We have another timeout, and the score is Montreal 6 and Edmonton 3, and the 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment. For obvious reasons, these young ladies are referred to as the cuties. And there's another cutie, Miss Grey Cup, Wendy Miles. She's doing a little babysitting job this afternoon for our Prime Minister, holding 5-year-old Justin Trudeau. A first down from the 22. Jones with that roll action left. Rob McLaren does an excellent job defensively, forcing Jones out for a loss perhaps of 2.
Don, this is something Coach Ray Ox told us before the football game they might have to do, and that's bring that linebacker to the strong side when Jones rolls out. The defensive end's just got a terrible job trying to contain this fellow. When he gets outside, he can run with the football.
Jones initially may have been looking into the end zone for Johnny Rogers. However, with McLaren in hot pursuit, he had no alternative but to step out of bounds for a loss of 2 at 2nd and 12, back at the 24. This is the deepest penetration either team has made against the wind. Incomplete. And Peter Dalla-Riva is protesting that he was tripped up by John Farlinger, and I think that's worth another look, Frank.
But Don, the first thing we're going to look at, though, is the pressure that Ron Este applies on Jones, because this is the closest they've come to getting to the Montreal quarterback. He's working against Dan Yoakum, number 67, and gets rid of him right there at the 30-yard line. He hits Jones just as he releases the football. Now take a look and see if it was interference. Here's another shot at that pressure coming from right defensive end, Ron Este.
Don Sweet, who is 2 for 2 in the field goal department with his 3rd attempt of the game, and it is wide this time. Larry Highbaugh in the end zone, trying to get outside of Mike Finucci. He does, and then he runs it out of bounds. So it's a single point for the Montreal Alouettes, and they now increase their advantage to 4. They lead 7-3 with 6:15 remaining in the second quarter.
Don, I really didn't like that play by Highball, running around back in that end zone with a football. He had no chance at all of getting out of the end zone. He's taking a chance on fumbling the football.
Let's go down now to Bill Stevenson.
Right now, that if you wonder if anybody's cold, all you have to do is look at us. You cold, Frankie?
Just a little, Billy. She's nippy.
Frankie Morris is the director of player personnel for the Edmonton Eskimos. Frankie, what do you think about the game thus far and the way the Eskies are playing?
Going pretty well, Bill. Husky puts that one away. We're in good shape. One thing we have to do, we have to start and block their 2 defensive ends. They're killing us offensively. They're taking our running game away from us. We can handle them. We can start to move the ball more.
Thank you very much, Frankie Morris.
Well, when you talk about moving the ball, one sure way to do it is throw it to George McGowan.
Tell you, Don, and Frank talked about containing those big defensive ends. Watch Larry Watkins working against Junior IU here. He does a good job on him.
The live action at the first down at the 53. Roy Bell inside again has his progress halted at the midfield stripe by Junior IU.
It's a very poorly run play, Don, and I'll show you the reason right here. Watch Willie Martin. He's trying to cross behind Bob Howells, the offensive center, and they get caught up together.
Well, there's a fan who is showing no preference. Intended for Konahowski, Tyrone Walls was also wide open.
Don, I'm not sure he was throwing to Konahowski. The ball was certainly almost dead between he and Walls, and I think you are absolutely right. Walls was wide open, much better than Konahowski.
Well, last week, Tom Wilkinson in the Western Final against Saskatchewan had difficulty moving the ball, and he was replaced by Bruce Lemmerman in the second half. We may have a repeat of that in this 75 Grey Cup. Now Johnny Rogers drops back along with Dickie Harris. It's a punting situation for the Eskimos. Gary Lefebvre kicking with the wind. An end-over-end boot that is taken by Rogers at the 15. You always have to be concerned every time Johnny Rogers gets that football. If you're the kicking team, he can break a game wide open, as the Ottawa Rough Riders will quickly attest.
Actually, the Eskimos have done a pretty good job on coverage, Don. They limited Rogers to 7 yards on that one. Ray 4 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the first half.
Ray Yark, for the 3rd straight year, trying to win the Grey Cup. He lost to the Ottawa Rough Riders 2 years ago and to the Alouettes last year. From the 23, it's a first down play with Steve Faragelli. A penalty flag goes down. Ron Este made the tackle on Faragelli. It's a gain of about 3.
Let's take a look at Este number 55, who makes a stop on the play. He beats the block once again of Dan Yoakum, 67. The penalty is being assessed against the Edmonton Eskimos. Don, did you pick up what it was?
Well, we'll wait for referee Bill Fry to illustrate it for us. Rough play was the infraction against the Eskimos, and that moves the ball out to the 42. Faragelli was all by himself at the 48. Frank, that Montreal offensive line has given Jimmy Jones all sorts of time to throw.
We've only seen one occasion where he's had any pressure by Este at one time, and he's having a lot of success throwing to those backs coming out of the backfield. It's been Smith most of the time, but Faragelli on that occasion.
Ball is now at the 48 of the Eskimos. It's a first down for the Alouettes. They lead 7-3. Pitch to Larry Smith. Whoa, he ran into Ron Este. He straightened him up at the 45.
6.
Well, this seems to be the era of banners and signs in stadia all across the country. There's messages supporting both sides and even teams that are not involved in Grey Cup activity. On second down, Jones throwing incomplete. It's intercepted, picked off by Larry Highbaugh. He is upset by Dallareva at the 40. It was intended for Johnny Rogers.
We see the pressure coming from Dan Kepley, 42, the middle linebacker of the Eskimos. The first time that we picked up a blitz in this quarter by the Eskimos. First turnover in this football game.
A 15-yard interception return by Larry Highbaugh. And the Eskimos now have a first down. The ball is at their own 40. Lang goes wide right. McGowan comes left. Roy Bell trying to get outside. And the left side of that Montreal defensive unit piles them up at the 45.
Done a little earlier in the football game, we pointed out an occasion where Calvin Harrell missed a block. Watch him this time. Takes on Wally Bono and drives him back about 6 yards. That's really been the key all year long why Roy Bell has been successful in running the football.
They rule that he made contact between the 43 and the 44, so it will be 2nd and 6.5. Wilkinson throwing complete to McGowan for a first down. He is upset at the 53 by Mike Widger.
I don't really think McGowan was the primary receiver on this play, but Wilkie finds him, and George makes a good catch amongst the several Alouette defenders.
Where is that Chinook?
We keep hearing these strange voices from those cold benches.
I think that was Don Chevrier.
Good fake by Wilkie. Now he's in trouble, and he's brought down, and that was Gordon Judges. Wilkinson made a good fake initially, but Gordon Judges then broke through and in pursuit caught Wilkinson. That's Larry Highbaugh, the man who intercepted the pass intended for Johnny Rogers to give the Eskimos possession in the dying moments of this first half. But now it's a 2nd and 20 setup for the Eskimos. Ball is at the 42. Wilkinson again in trouble. Another penalty flag goes down, and that was Gordon Judges once more.
This was an attempted blitz by Cornell down, but watch Willie Martin, number 50, as he picks up the big middle linebacker of the Alouettes. Pressure once again from Judges, who just sacked Wilkie for that 11-yard loss.
A holding infraction against the Eskimos is declined.
Here's another look at it from ground level, and you see number 75, 2 occasions in a row, dumping Tom Wilkinson. Of course, 75 is Gordon Judges.
A minute and 17 seconds remaining in this first half. It's 3rd and 30.
Might see a reverse here between Harris and Rogers in this return, fellas.
Okay, Chef. Dave has averaged 31.8 yards per kick this afternoon. He gets away a good boot with that win. Johnny Rogers back to his own 28. Look out for this man. Back to the 44, tackled by Dan Kepley, and with just 50 seconds left in the half, the Owls again have good field possession.
And the key block was provided by Proudfoot, number 68. He should appear on your screen right here. Just outside of you. He got a block on Tom Towns, number 20.
A first down for the Owls. The ball is at the 44 of the Eskimos. The Alouettes lead 7-3. Swing pass to Larry Smith. He managed to hang on, avoided the initial contact by Wayne McCurn, but apparently was forced out of bounds.
Whether you notice it or not, gentlemen, it's starting to snow down on the field, and that Chinook that Chevy was talking about, the weatherman Don says it's coming tomorrow, not today. And the most popular spot behind the bench of the Eskimos is the heat tunnel, where the players are now congregating every time they come off the field.
They feel like Hawaii, those tunnels.
That's a new punt return record for a Grey Cup game for Johnny Rogers, 37 yards. Let's see if the Alouettes can take advantage. No, Jones gets no chance. Ron Este dropped him for a loss with just 17 seconds left in the half.
Well, Este does his job here of containing Jones, and he gets help from Leputka and Dan Kepley from the inside.
Some people suggested that this 75 Classic would be a defensive struggle. So far, that assessment has proven extremely accurate. On 3rd down, the punt return pair of Highbaugh and Fink had gone back. However, I think the Alouettes are going to run out the clock. Time has officially expired. Jones going for broke. It's incomplete. And that should be the final play of the half. And it is, with the Alouettes retiring to the dressing room with a 7-3 advantage on a pair of field goals by Don Sweet and a single point by Sweet on a field goal attempt that was wide. The scoring for the Eskimos, a field goal from 40 yards away by Dave Cutler. Frank, we mentioned the defensive struggle. What do you think we'll see in the second half?
Well, the Alouettes have really taken away the Edmonton Eskimo running attack almost completely. They have been successful throwing a football short, particularly to George McGowan, but they have really taken that running game away from them.
Okay, coming up in just 1 minute from now, a spectacular halftime show from the field. The score is Montreal 7, Edmonton 3. We'll return to McMahon Stadium in just a moment.
It came one summer. Its form alien to all that this earth knows. Its crew of a species never before seen. Its mission, discovery.
Well? I found out, Commander, Canadian Pacific manufactures steel and wood products.
Ah, that's important.
But they do more than that. They develop real estate. But they do more than that, too.
Yes,
They're
yes.
in natural resources, oil and gas and mining and forestry. But they're even more than that.
You were asked to keep things simple.
They're in transportation, hotels, airlines, and telecommunications, too. But no, they're much more than that. They employ thousands, geologists and steel workers and chefs and foresters and mechanics and machinists.
At Canadian Pacific, we understand. It takes time to describe what on earth we are. Today's Canadian Pacific, working for all Canadians in essential industries.
Randy Avery has produced what is no doubt the most spectacular halftime show ever. Over 1,200 singers, dancers, musicians, bronco riders, and other performers. They want you to join them for some good old Western fun.
From Calgary, Alberta, the Chuck Wagon, symbol of Canada's Stampede City, and a salute to the Eastern pioneers who built this Western community 100 years ago. The young Canadian dancers salute the Canadian football. That's the spirit, that's the way to go. You're Canadian, not a lot to show. Raise your colors on high. Sing or swim, do or die. Got the fire, got the will to win. Got the fire, you're Canadian. Doing better each time. You're looking great, great. Of the New West, they form the official brand of the Calgary Exhibition and Stampede, the C Lazy S. And as they go into the old familiar wagon wheels, they put on the field for you a display of a chuck wagon, complete with the revolving wheels.
Grey Cup halftime continues in just a moment.
Hours a day, in hundreds of different ways, Canadian Pacific serves people all over Canada. To help you think about what Canadian Pacific does, think if it didn't. Today's Canadian Pacific, working for all Canadians in essential industries.